talks about you, then you are nobody. Then you are nobody. Remember.
All is one reflections. I am Priestess Osun Funke, and today I am going to discuss the September chapter in my book, Get Your Life, which is a month-by-month guide to spiritual alignment. So if you haven't already gotten this book, the link will be in the description for this video. It's also going to be in the chats on all of the channels that we're broadcasting from. And it is on Amazon, so you can search by the name of the book, Get Your Life, and it is by Oshun Funke. Okay, and that's OSUN FUNKE. I'm trying to figure out how to. Okay, there you go. Get Your Life. Okay. So we are starting with September. Well, we're not starting with September. We're going to do September today. And September is a big month energetically. The number is 9. 9 has to do with endings, wrapping things up. We talked about in August, we're taking an accounting of what we've done and where we've been and how much further we have to go. In September, we are wrapping things up. We've already done our accounting. We see where we are and we know what we need to do to finish this year on out. And it doesn't actually matter whether you agree energetically with the Gregorian calendar or not. It is an agreement that we have made as participants in this society that we will organize our undertakings in a particular way. And so the Bible says, give Caesar what is Caesar's. So if we are here and we're doing business with Caesar and we are interacting with Caesar, we need to be in the best possible situation. So I like to say that whenever I start talking about the months in this book, because some people like to just go so far down the spiral of what the real end of the year is, like we get to decide how to meter our energy, and we get to decide how to attack our projects and how to disperse our attention. So September, we are winding things up. Okay. We've already taken an accounting, and we are going to tap into balance to help us with transformation and transition. And then we are going to refine all of those things to create absolute alignment in our lives. So let's dive right in. And one of the benefits of, sitting for these classes is that I offer things that are not in the book. I wrote this book about a year ago, and in practicing, in doing the practice, in teaching the practice, there are things that I'm adding. Not so much that I'm taking away, but there are small things that I'm tweaking. And also, I sprinkle in, current events and our experience in general. And I'm also a vessel for communication from the ancestors. So if there's anything that you guys need to know to perfect your way forward, then that's what I'm going to give you. So let's dive right in. And if you haven't already, before I say another word, please like this video, please share this video, and please subscribe to the channel. I really appreciate your support. And to be honest, we need it, okay? And Spirit said yes. That's why we got that bell, okay? So let's talk about the energetic shift that September brings. Spiritual and the spiritual and cosmological context of September. September is a threshold moment in the metaphysical calendar. It's a month that carries closure and preparation. It's not quite an end, but it's definitely not a beginning. It is more of a corridor. So we haven't started the new year. we haven't even quite begun our transition into the new year, but rather we are concerned with wrapping things up from our planning at the beginning of the year. We are looking to transform those no's into yeses, those almost into well dones. Okay, that's the energy that we want to tap into for September. Nature reflects this pause in the shift from Leo, Virgo to Libra. Okay, so September has a lot of energy going on. Um, and from confidence to refinement to harmony and justice. Okay, so these are some of the tag words that I want you to think about. And if you're taking notes, please write these things down. So in September, we're still feeling a little bit of the lingering energy of Leo into Virgo, into Libra. Okay, so that's that corridor that I was talking about earlier. And some of the tag words that you can remember are confidence, refinement. Confidence, that's coming from Leo, right? Refinement, that's coming from that need to perfect from Virgo, right? Into harmony and justice. That's our Libra energy. In Yoruba cosmology, the season of Oya, okay, so now don't get me wrong. Don't give me no crazy comments. I'm not saying that this is Oya's month according to the Ifa practice. What I'm talking about is the number 9, that energy, that agreement that we have, that energy of the number 9, we know connects with the energy of Oya. That is, in fact, her number. Okay. So that is what I'm saying. So we are layering Yoruba cosmology, the Ifa practice, over other things that we're talking about for the month of September. And so this month connects with Oya numerically. So this energy of change is beginning. And it's so beautiful when we see how this information, this study, our practice can be layered one thing on top of the other, because September is absolutely about change and transition and transformation. The leaves start turning colors, right? There's a crispness to the air. You get to plant a whole different kind of garden for my gardeners out there. We get to put that kale and those collard greens in the ground and pull up, the tomatoes and the summer vegetables. So whether it is traditional to think about September as Oya's month, the number 9 definitely corresponds with Oya energy. And it is the 9th month in the system that we have agreed to. So the energy of change begins to stir in this month. And it's not a disruptive force. A lot of people fear Oya and her energy. It's not to be feared. Change is the only constant. It is the only thing that you can count on. Things may not be good always, and they may not be difficult always, but they will be different. They're going to be different than what you thought. They're going to be different than they were last time. They're going to be different than somebody told you it was going to be. Change, transformation is always at work in our experience, okay? So rather than think about disruption when we think about change this month, let's think about realignment. Let's think about scooting, closer to our blessings. Let's think about scooching further away from danger and calamity. Okay, let's think about refinement and perfection as we begin to wrap things up. And let's not think of chaos that's associated with change, but rather clarity in motion, okay? Getting clear, moving things out of the way, knocking that shit over because it does not belong here. It's not helping us with what we're doing. Let's get it out of the way so that we can have clarity. That's what we're talking about. This moment, the energy of this moment, September, is very much connected with the law of rhythm. Everything moves in and out of balance. September asks you to stabilize your internal pendulum to become more deliberate. Y'all know, if you know me, if you watch me ever do a reading or in person, never leave home without it. Always using a pendulum. So, what was made reference to just now is our internal pendulum. And I actually have an internal pendulum. And you do too. But I'm bringing this up because what I do is visualize the pendulum swinging. I visualize um, what that actually looks like and which direction it's leaning more towards than the other. I also think about what that feels like, and I align myself with that feeling so that when I ask a question and I need Ori to weigh in and help me make a decision or inform my decision, I'm very much connected with pendulum technology. I've used it, I can't count how many times I've used it, in the physical. And I use visualization. I use the third eye, and I use um, my heart space to connect with my internal pendulum to help me make decisions. Okay. And so you can try that as well. The affirmation for this month is I create balance and order in my life as I prepare for the harvest. One more time. I create balance and order in my life as I prepare for the harvest. Okay. So we're not quite harvesting this month, but we're getting ready. We're making our plans. Y'all, and this is it's so pertinent because that's literally what we're doing. We're making sure we got our jars so that we can make our jellies and our sauces, and we can get those last items out of the garden and process them when it's time to harvest. We're doing that in real life. This is it's a lifestyle. It's real. So that's what you should be doing in every aspect of your life, whether it's, getting your change together that you've been saving all year. I'm probably telling my age, but I was always raised to save my change, right? You have a piggy bank, you have a big old jar where you keep your change. And then towards the end of the year, we would put our change in those sleeves, those rolls that you get. So you'd have your pennies and your quarters and your whatever you saved. And then we would take that to the bank, or they have those machines now in the grocery store, cash that in, and that be the money that you use, for Christmas shopping and things like that. That stuff starts to happen this time of year. We're gathering all of our resources. We are preparing for the harvest. Okay. So use the daily affirmation that I just gave you. I create balance and order in my life as I prepare for the harvest. You're going to use that daily as a regulating tool. Let it accompany your tea time. Let it accompany your spiritual baths. Say it before you begin your journal sessions. This stuff only works if you work it, but I promise it works when you work it. Okay. So there's already a lot of afoshe that has gone into that affirmation. Afoshe being the power of the tongue, coming from me, the Iyanifa that is giving you these words, stringing this prayer together for you. Say the affirmation. I promise you, it will move energy in your world. And you can text me if you're in my group, in my online community, and let me know when it works for you. Okay. So let's talk about the metaphysical law of balance. The law of balance insists that every energetic output must be matched with recalibration. What does that mean? It means that everything that you put out, you're going to get back, right? It means that for every action, there is an equal reaction. It means if there is light, there will also be dark. It's about balance, okay? Period, plain and simple. In metaphysical science, imbalance is the beginning of distortion, illness, stagnation, and spiritual depletion. Everything starts with an imbalance. If you don't have enough of what you need, then you're going to get more of what you don't. And that is true in your body, that's true in your mind, that's true in your love relationships, that's true in your friendships, your relationships with your family, and it's true in the soil in your garden. If you do not have enough of what you need, that creates the environment for you to get more of what you don't. So balance should be your first and foremost endeavor. To create balance if balance is off, and to keep balance once you get it. Okay. Y'all know, if you throw OB, if you're a student of mine, you throw OB, the four colon nuts, the highest, the best, the most prized answer that you can get is perfect balance, right? When you get two up and two down, that's perfect balance. And that's the best reading that you can get. If you're asking, should I do this, or can I, or should I stop doing that, right? Or whatever your ask is. When you get perfect balance, you can breathe a sigh of relief, right? Balance is the key to alignment. It's the point of all of this practice, is so that we can be aligned and in balance, because when we are aligned and when we are living and walking and working in balance, then we are more likely, most likely to connect with the God within than in any other state. Sure, if you're experiencing danger or illness or anxiety, absolutely the God within you can rise up to support and serve you, and the ancestors can gather around you, and that energy can become more available for you to tap into. And the same with the orisha that walk with you, etc. Yes, when we are in a moment of need, absolutely, we have strong things that we can lean up against. But better than that is to not need that support anyway, because we are walking on such a straight and narrow road, and we are imbalanced, and our blessings are on the right hand and that danger is far off to the left. And we are walking in our path, in our appointed path, in the path where we are blessed, where we are our most impactful, where we are our most intuitive, where we have access to all the things that are going to help us expand and unfold and become. And in our becoming, we become more useful to those people that we are meant to serve and support. That's why you want to be balanced. That's why you want to be on that straight and narrow road. That's what it's all about. That's the point of it all. The overachiever archetype, especially among Black women, is often celebrated by society. And y'all, we've seen that with Tyler Perry's movie, and we've seen that um, in our own homes, in our own lives, probably. We probably see that in the mirror, right? That archetype of the strong Black woman. But we need to understand that that grind culture is not a virtue. It's out of balance. It's too much of what we don't want, so that we will never get what we do, right? It is evidence of unresolved energetic imbalance. Too much output and not enough input. Working too hard, doing too much, giving what we don't have, it does not work. We end up diseased. We end up feeling empty. We should give from our overflow, not from a deficit. I can't have a cup that's half empty or less than that and try to give you some. Now I'm over here in a worse situation than I started out in, so that the next person who comes behind you, who needs me, they're not getting me at full strength. They're not getting the best that I have to give, right? Self-care is balance. Self-care is knowing when to say no. Self-care is prioritizing your health and your happiness over every other thing, because it all requires you. Everything in your world, and this is not encouraging narcissism in any way. What I'm saying is the people that you serve, particularly our families, our children, our mates, even our employers, our customers and clients, they only benefit from you being the best version of yourself, you being full strength, full power, happy, healthy. So, you being in balance is going to help you provide for the people that require your unique gifts and talents. Okay, so you should be prioritizing balance over every other thing. So we need to replace the strong Black woman archetype with the archetype of the good steward, right? Someone who is wise and regulated, someone who is supported because they are necessary, and that's understood by the people that they interact with, the people that they are in relationship with. And it leads to healthier outcomes for everyone. So again, replacing the strong Black woman archetype with the good steward. Okay. Let's talk about some Bible. Y'all know I love me some Bible. So Psalm 73, verse 24 is the Bible verse for this month. And it says, "You will guide me with your counsel, and afterward receive me to glory." You will guide me with your counsel, and afterward receive me to glory. This verse reassures that the divine wisdom is not abstract. It is our embedded GPS. During September's natural thinning of the veil, divine guidance becomes easier to perceive. Guidance is not delivered through clarity alone. It is often revealed through reduction. Remember, I said earlier, we knocking shit down in September. If it doesn't serve, if it doesn't fit, if it doesn't work, if I don't like it no more, it's got to go. We're removing things, changing things to create an environment that is conducive to better clarity, to increased awareness. Come on, Oya. That's Oya energy, right? If something is thin as air, it's easy to see what's real, right? It's easy to understand what we need or what we have. Come on, Oya. Oya is the orisha of transition, clearing, and strategic transformation. Her winds come when a doorway must be open. She does not come to preserve comfort, but to be the change that you need. No matter how disruptive, no matter how uncomfortable, no matter how unexpected the change is, when it comes, you got to know that it's for your greatest good. The Bible says all things work for the good of those who love the Lord. So if you believe in God and you believe that everything that happens on this planet is ordained, everything that happens in your world and in your experience is ordained, then you know that no matter how surprised you are by an occurrence, you know that on the other side of that, that once you sweep up that mess and throw away those broken pieces, you're going to be better off because of it. It's the mathematics of the universe. None of us were put here to suffer. Okay, change is always on your side. Always. September's invitation to balance is guided by the fresh air that Oya brings, cutting through illusion, uprooting what it is that we are clinging to, and setting the foundation for new cycles. We know that Oya governs death. But she also governs the moment just before a new seed breaks open, the beginning of life, the transition from one stage into another. And that's true, as above, so below. So you can macrocosm that or microcosm it to every aspect of your life, right? Transition from one job to another, transition from one relationship to another, transition from one level of awareness to another. Oya is that change and governs all of that. So tapping in, accepting, even welcoming change this month is going to help you align with the next best thing for you. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to do a reading. And I know y'all love it when I do readings, and I'm happy to do it. Let me take a sip of my iced coffee. Happy to do it. Let's get into it and see what September holds for us. What do we need to know? Actually, I have some questions prepared for this. I got a good question. What am I being asked to surrender as I enter this next season of my life? Right? We're transitioning literally from summer to autumn. Right? What am I being asked to surrender so that I can experience the next best things that my destiny promises? And take the bones. What am I being asked to surrender? So the first thing that I notice right here is the person with their head buried in the sand. And over that, I have a quarter. And so this is saying that burying your head in the sand, pretending not to know what you know is going to cost you. Stop doing that. You got to give that up. That's what you have to surrender. The comfort that you may find in pretending not to know the truth, let me get that, is what is being said. Okay. Here over tools, I have the number 6. So what this is talking about, let me look into this camera. So I have the die on 6 over the tools. And this is talking about taking advantage of your resources. Earlier in this reading, I said it only works if you work it. And that's what I'm feeling here. You have tools, especially if you are part of my community, you have tools. You have access to classes, you have access to mentorship. You have priestesses on staff ready to assist you and support you in a number of ways. Those are just a few of the tools that you have. Out of those programs and situations, you have initiations that some of you have been through, others of you have access to. You have divination tools, right? And if you have your ancestors and your Ori and connections with them. And if all that fails, you have the ability to pray. You have the ability to close your eyes and breathe deeply and ask for increased awareness in the moments that you are feeling anxious. And I'm going to get into anxiety because I see that here on the board, something that we need to talk about. But this dice on the number 6 is saying that with your tools, you will find harmony. You have to use your tools. It doesn't make any sense to sign up for a mentorship program and pay every month and not do the things that you're taught to do. It doesn't make any sense to pay for a reading and sit down and have a reading, and then 2 weeks later, you've abandoned everything that you said that you were going to do differently based on the increased awareness that you got. It doesn't make any sense to order books and herbs and crystals and all of these things, and you're not tapping in and doing what you need to do to make it work. And this is a practice, this being African spirituality, whatever specialty you may have, whether you practice Ifa or Vodun or whatever your practice is. These practices require practice. You have to do it with regularity. You have to commit to it in order to experience the best outcomes. So use your tools, okay? Let's get back to the board. So right here, I mentioned anxiety. I know this is upside down, but this is a person who's biting their nails, okay? And over that, we have the big piece of the wishbone and we have the small piece of the wishbone. So this is saying, listen, you don't need to worry about what you don't want. When we think about things that we don't want and we worry about things that we don't want, we're actually aligning ourselves with the energy of what we don't want. Y'all understand that? When you worry about something that you don't want to happen, when you talk about, oh my God, I hope that never happens to me. When you expend energy towards or in relation to something that you don't want to experience, you may as well just sit down and pray for it, because that's what you're doing. So don't think about, worry about, talk about things that you are not interested in happening. But at the same time, don't worry about the things that you do. I told you, the Bible says, all things work together for the good of those who love the Lord. The Bible also says you have not because you ask not. And a whole bunch of other quotes that I could give you from the Bible that all say, the Bible also says, anything you want, anything you ask in my name, I will do it, right? So we are assured over and over again that all we have to do is want a thing, create balance in our lives, and to align with that thing, and we will begin to experience it. We will have it, right? So don't worry about it. Rather than worry if it will happen, do what you know you need to do, like create balance, like speak positively about it, like align your mind with the energy of that thing that it is that you want to experience. Do that rather than worry about it. So anxiety is not going to help you have anything in this season. This is a corridor. It's a short window. We got a couple of months to make it happen before we enter a whole new cycle and the energy switches up. So anxiety is not going to help you get this year wrapped up. Okay, back to the board. So here I have the brass ring over the person in the sick bed. And what that is saying to me is that you don't know what you want and you're sick about it. You're having problems setting your goals, right? But the guiding question here is, what am I being asked to surrender? So if I see the brass ring over the sick bed, some of you are going to have to change what it is that you've been striving for this year. So you may not have sat in my August class from the Get Your Life series, right? You may not have sat in August class where we talked about taking an accounting, reassessing our goals. You may not have done that. And if you did, you may need to look at that again, because the things that you say that you want, that brass ring, whatever it is that you're reaching for, it's making you sick. It's causing you worry and stress. You may not have everything that you need to have in order to achieve that. And so rather than continue to expend energy, continue to experience anxiety, why don't we adjust our goals? That is, so we're being asked to surrender those old desires, those old goals that may not align with reality, quite frankly. Okay, back to the board. So here over the mother, we have an open bottle cap, we have snowflake jasper, and we have hematite. Now, those of you who are in the community, you know the energy of the year in my community. I'm not going to go into that because it's just way too much to go into for those of you who might not know the energy of the year. But I will say that women are very important this year. Okay. That being said, this reading is saying that. It's saying, listen, you need to be anchored down, hematite, um, to the wisdom of the mothers. Whether that is your own mother who birthed you, whether that is your godmother, whether that is an elder mother in your community, or your baby mama, okay? You need to align yourself. Let the foundation of your efforts in this season be connected to the mothers in your life. And what you're being asked to surrender is this open bottle cap, this ambivalence that you may have had to that wisdom that comes through those women in your life, those mothers. If you have a mother who may be a worry wart, or so you think, who's always trying to tell you what you don't need to do and you don't want to hear it, and you just kind of like, yeah, open bottle cap on that. I'm not, I'm going to let that, if what do they say, if it doesn't I can't even think of what the saying is. If it doesn't apply, let it fly. That's what this open bottle cap is talking about. Okay. We're gonna surrender that. We're gonna surrender that. And it's asking us to behave differently towards the women in our lives. And that's what this snowflake jasper is about. Okay. So what you're gonna do going forward is be anchored in the wisdom of the mothers in your life. You're going to surrender any ambivalence that you may have towards their advice, and you're going to behave differently. Again, that number 9 energy. Okay, what else do I see on the board right now? We have the lock over caution, and we also have a quarter over caution. So that's saying, listen, be careful, be locked into caution, be cautious, be careful, be smart, be wise, all of those kinds of things. And if you don't, it will cost you. Okay, so but remember, our guiding question is talking about, what are you asking me to surrender? You're being asked to surrender losses that come from not being cautious. You're being asked to direct that time and resource towards pursuits that are going to help you evolve and expand. You're being asked to no longer waste money and time on negligence and the losses that come from being negligent. Okay, stop doing that. As we wrap up this year, as we move closer to new beginnings, you want to stop being careless. Remember, we said earlier, good steward. Let's replace that energy of the strong Black woman with the woman who, the Black lady who is a good steward, who allocates resources properly for herself and those she's concerned with. Okay. What else do I see on this board? Okay, I'm gonna show y'all this because I like this, what I see here. So this is a family tile. Okay, it's a family tile. So we have a child, a mother, a father, and another child. Okay, so over the woman and the child, we have the anchor and we have the quarter. And over the man and the baby, we have the clear quartz or the amplifier. Okay, so what is this statement or this sentence talking about? It's saying be anchored in, y'all, I apologize. 1 second. Okay, so this sentence that we see here, this sentence right here, we have the anchor and the quarter and the amplification stone all over the family. And what this sentence is talking about is we need to be anchored in the allocation of our resources towards the family. And we need to amplify that. What we're being asked to surrender is really this anchor over the quarter. The way it's sitting on top of the quarter is saying we're so focused on making money that we forget what we're making the money for. We're anchored to the money instead of to the family. You see this in situations where a mom, for example, that strong Black lady, right, that we talked about earlier, she may have 2 or 3 jobs, right? She's working every waking moment and doing whatever she can to take care of her family. Noble, absolutely. No one's going to say any different. But in doing so, the relationship with the children might suffer. In doing so, the supervision of the children may not be what it needs to be. And so we are anchored to the money instead, right? Let me show you how it came out. We're anchored to the money. The anchor is directly on top of the quarter. We're anchored to the money instead of the family. So Spirit is saying we need to amplify the family. Don't forget what it is that we're working for. Being a good steward means allocating resources properly. So we make the money, absolutely, but time is also, really, time is our most valuable resource. It's the only thing that cannot be replaced, okay? So as we move forward into this energy of September, what we're being asked to surrender is this, well, we're being asked to give up a lot of ambivalence, right? We're being asked to give up any ambivalence that we may have towards our family, but we're also being asked to give up the attachment that we have to money and instead be more attached to the family. Okay. What else do I see on this board? What are we being asked to surrender? I'm seeing here again, guys. Look right here. I don't know if it's going to show up good. Okay, there it is. So you see my earring and this moss agate over this tile. So this is another tile having to do with feminine energy, divine feminine energy, goddess energy. And over that, we have moss agate, which is kind of a money stone, talking about resources, talking about things that grow, abundance. And we have our earrings. So it's saying, listen, if you want things to grow, you got to listen to that divine feminine. If you want to experience the money that this stone promises, increase, abundance, prosperity, you got to listen to the divine feminine. And that's right in alignment with the energy of the year. So those of you who are community members at OHI, you know what I'm talking about. This is the energy of the year. You got to tap into that divine feminine. And it said it down here, you know, when I talked about the open bottle cap and ambivalence to the guidance of the mother. So you're being urged to tap in. Listen to your mama, listen to your aunties, okay? That neighbor that's an elder that wants to hold you when you say hi. She want to talk too much and you just be trying to rush to get in the house. Maybe take a moment and stop and listen, okay? A couple of other things that I'll mention. We have the transformation stone over the prayer hands. Is it saying that prayer will change everything? Right? Understand what prayer is, and I'm not going to turn this into a prayer class. But if you want to know more, join our community. But prayer, it's not begging. It's not begging God to do anything. It's not praying for magic and miracles to hit you upside your head, although that can happen sometimes. But what prayer is readying your mind to complete the actions needed to experience what it is you desire. Okay. Prayer is aligning yourself with the most easeful path to experience what it is that you say that you want to. It's a function of mind over matter. Mind being ether, mind being spirit, mind being your connection to the Most High God. Putting your mind over the material things that sometimes lead us to believe that we can't, that we don't have enough, that we don't need, that there isn't anymore, and all of that kind of stuff, right? So when you pray, you're getting your mind right, okay? And so you need to do that in this season to prepare for the transition that is to come. During this energetic corridor, you need to be praying more so that you can experience what you want to between now and the end of the year. I get the boar's tooth. I'm gonna show y'all this just so you can have the visual. I have the boar's tooth, which is like my trophy, and it's over the person on the treadmill. Okay, and so what is that saying? It's saying, work hard and win is what it's saying. It's saying, get on this treadmill and push it on out. Give it your best. Okay, we're almost done with this year. Give me everything that you got. We've already assessed our goals. We should have done that last month. We know that those things that we said that we were going to do, we know which ones of them are likely to happen and which ones of them we may need to work on for later. And so now the goals that remain, the things that remain that we said we're going to do, we are going to work as hard as we can to make those things happen. Okay. And so what we're being asked to give up, and this is important because this boar's tooth energy is saying you may not get a trophy. You may not be recognized for what you have done, but that doesn't mean that you don't do the work. You still have to do the work. Sometimes it's thankless. Sometimes nobody will even know what you did, but you will know what you did, and it's got to be done. So go ahead and do it. If those things that you said you wanted are true, if those things that keep you up at night, this brass ring that was discussed earlier in the reading, if those things are still true, then you have to do the work if you want to experience them. Over changes, I get the cloudy quartz. So that's very interesting because we're talking about change this month, right? We're talking about transitions and transformations. And what you need to understand is that you don't even see all of the things that need to change. You don't know what you need to change yet. You need to give up. Remember, what am I being asked to surrender? Poor sight, cloudy vision. You're asked to give that up. You're asked to pray to see things clearly. You're asked to clear that smoke that you're in, the smoke of delusion, of unnecessary ambition. Clear all that away. Remember at the beginning of the reading, I said you got your head buried in the sand and it's going to cost you. Well, this is saying the same thing. You can't even see what you need to change. So sometimes it's not even about being resistant to change. It's about not being aware of what I even need to change, being so bogged down, being so distracted that I'm unclear. You need to pray for clarity, and you need to get clear. And that's what that assessment is all about, assessing what remains of our time this year, what remains of the resources that we have um, to allocate for what it is that we said that we want. And the last thing, let's see, is it the last thing? Mm-hmm. So the last thing that I see on this board is my fishbone over the cornucopia. You're being asked to surrender that cavalier attitude, just going with the flow, just letting things happen. That's not your destiny. And that's not where you will find abundance. Cornucopia is dealing with abundance. So you're being asked to give up any ambivalence that you have towards the blessings um, that are in your destiny. You're being asked to align with your greatest good with effort, with this boar's tooth over the treadmill. You're going to have to work hard to align with your greatest good. Maybe hard is the wrong word, but you're going to have to work intentionally towards those goals if you want to experience them. Okay? And that is the reading for September. So now I'm going to go back to my notes. I'm going to finish out the doctrine for this month. So for this month, the sun is in Virgo for part of the month. And this invites you to clean your spiritual house. Virgo often asks for perfection, but Virgo also asks for purification, right? So through purifying, cleansing, and clearing away what doesn't serve and what doesn't make sense, then the situation will be perfected, okay? And that is the energy that we want to bring in from Virgo. Just a few more days left of Virgo, but we can still do that. This is an ideal time to revisit any abandoned spiritual practices, any things that we started off doing in the beginning of the year or earlier in the year and we somehow lost our way. This is a great time to realign ourselves with those practices and those things that we said that we would do, to remember our word and the promises that we made. The sun moving into Libra, which happens September 22nd, signals a cosmic invitation to, y'all give me 1 second. Kids. Okay. So, the sun into Libra, which happens September 22nd, signals a cosmic invitation to relational accountability. Are your partnerships balanced? Do your collaborations feel reciprocal? These are questions that you can ask yourself as you assess. And remember what the reading said about that brass ring. Some of y'all are sick in bed because you're not as far as you thought you would be on the path to reaching your goals. Some of you are sick in bed because you don't even know how to set any goals, or you haven't set any goals, or you've made much less progress than you thought. You need to look at whether or not the partnerships that you have in trying to meet these goals are even balanced. Do you have everything that you need? Okay. And that's what that Libra energy is about, the scales, right? Weighing things. Am I with the right people to try to make this happen? Am I in the right place to make this happen? Is what I'm trying to make happen even right? You need to assess those things. Libra asks, do you give with clarity or do you give with expectation? So that's a big one too for this month, right? For that Libra energy. Have you been giving? Because we talked about that strong Black woman. We talked about disproportionately allocating your resources. We talked about prioritizing money over other things. Now we're asking, when you're doing all this giving of time, money, attention, when you're giving, are you giving with clarity, understanding the reasoning behind why you're doing it? Or are you doing it with expectations? I'm not saying that it's wrong to have expectations all the time, but that push pull that we create ourselves is going to sometimes be in opposition to the natural push pull that's happening around us, the energetic climate that we have to respond to. So you need to think about that as you assess your goals going towards the end of the year. The autumn equinox is happening also September 22nd. And this day, light and dark will be equal. And this is a mirror moment. That's a moment of balance like none other. Okay. Equinoxes are seen as earth rituals that are already in motion. We don't need to create any energy. We simply need to harmonize with it, right? So you don't need to do any work that's aimed at conjuring energy. Everything that you have is going to be right there. Everything that you need, rather, is going to be right there. On the equinox, you need to fully and intentionally determine where you're going to put your energy to get what it is that you need. That's what that prayer piece is all about. You need to pray for increased awareness and understanding. So this full moon this month is called the corn moon. And it's a moon that speaks of spiritual yield. It represents what you've planted, and it also shows what has grown even when you are distracted, right? So even when you're unaware of what's been happening, things have been happening. This month, you need to pay attention to that. You need to take stock of that. You need to continue the assessments that we started last month. Take inventory of what intentions that you had bore fruit. What outcomes were shaped by subconscious or ancestral patterns? And what came forward without your effort? Okay, these are questions that you need to ask yourself, things that you need to assess. The crystal for this month is lapis lazuli. Lapis lazuli enhances mental order, spiritual truth, and clarity of purpose. It is useful for priests in particular because you must hold multiple truths at once without fracturing. So, it's a throat chakra stone as well. Everything that you hear is not meant to be said. I'm talking to my priest. So lapis can help you meter that. Lapis can help you keep confidences and say only the most beneficial things. Okay. Lapis helps to bring balance to the third eye and the throat chakra, allowing you to see and say what is necessary. Okay. You can carry lapis with you in your purse. You can wear it on your person, especially when you need to make executive decisions. Let's talk about some herbs for this month. The magical herb of this month is eucalyptus. I love eucalyptus. It clears energetic residue. And you can use it as smoke, right? So you can burn it as an incense and use it to clear spaces. You can also make infusions with it and then spray that around your space. You can hang it in your shower and allow the steam of your shower to wet the leaves and the heat to put the essence in the air so that you can benefit from it, and it can clear away energetic residue. And you can also add it to floor washes. This is helpful for rebalancing after emotional labor. Okay. So if you have had a moment that's been difficult spiritually, if you have gone through things in a space in your home, you may want to put eucalyptus in your floor wash. And if you're practicing hoodoo, then you know all about a floor wash and didn't come here today for me to teach it to you. So you can add eucalyptus to your floor washes. And remember earlier on the board, I said these tools only work when you work them. And that dice on number 6 over tools said you will experience harmony when you use your tools. So floor washes is just one tool, one technology, one type of technology that you know to use for your benefit. The medicinal herb is passion flower, another one that I absolutely love. And I tried to grow passion flower this year. I had a vine, a piece of a vine, and it caught on and did well until it didn't. So I lost my passion flower. Passion flower is a nervine. It is also a mild sedative. It supports nervous system balance, and it is a part of a lot of natural sleep tinctures and tinctures, blends that are meant to bring about calm and reduce nervousness. Okay, I'm just making sure I covered all my notes, which I did. So, in closing, balance is an active spiritual state of adjusting, releasing, and recommitting. September is a portal. The winds of Oya, the yield of the corn moon, and the equilibrium of the equinox are already moving. You do not need to do more. You need to refine, return, and remember. I pray that this has been helpful for you. If you would like to study more about the energies that affect us in September, I urge you to order my book, Get Your Life. It is available on Amazon, and it comes in hardback, paperback, and Kindle. If you like the style of reading that I did or my approach to the energy of the month, we teach classes, we have mentorship programs, and we have in-person retreats. You can find out more about those and also become a participant in our community and learn this practice by joining our membership program and downloading our app. Those links are in the description in this video and also in the chat section. So now we got that done. For the sake of the video, I will answer any questions anyone has. Omo Waware, if you'll help me with field the questions. Let me see. Actually, I can read what's here. Jordan says, extremely helpful. I'm glad that they are helpful. Does anybody have any questions, comments, or concerns? If you don't, that is fine. Get the book. Get the book. Read the chapter. If you're in my community, you can send me any questions through DM if you have any. If not, I'm going to simply thank you guys for being here. I love y'all so deep. And it is my pleasure to be able to share my humble approach to expansion and evolution with you all. And with that, I'm going to call it done. Thank you.
Nobody talks about you, then you want